Jedi Monk here. You know, let me start off by offering a little prayer. Source, Creator, God, help me that I may help others, that I may serve you by being of service to others, and that this message helps as many people as it could possibly help who watch this video and listen to what's shared. Thank you. Amen. So I'm amazed because I get a lot of kickback from so-called spiritualists or spiritual people when I talk about loving and forgiving the enemies, right? Or the X's, the covert narcissists, the borderline personality disorders that you've tried to have a relationship with. And these people disagree with this idea of instead of wishing malice against those who have hurt you, you wish them forgiveness and love and peace. And the reason why they disagree, I don't understand, because I try to explain to them, well, no, it's when I'm in my mind and in my thoughts and I'm thinking about that person or they come up to my mind, is it better that I think about all the injustices that they have done to me and wish them negative consequences, or that I wish to be bitter and angry and hateful and resentful? Is it better that I stay in that mindset, in a state of war, inner turmoil, war within myself, than to say, Father God, I pray for that person. I offer them up to you in love, compassion, and forgiveness. Please help me to heal, right? And I maintain that it is far better. It is a far superior position, spiritually and physiologically, to take the approach of love, compassion, mercy, forgiveness, grace. Because in that place, I can release these things. I can, even if it's little by little, I can do it repeatedly, over and over. Whenever they come to mind, instead of taking the hurt, I take a position of grace. And the reason why is, if I sit in a place of resentment and I feel those things over and over, that's what resentment is. If you look up the definition of the word from the Latin roots, resentimento is to refeel. So resentment is refeeling the hurt. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to be in a place of wrath and war and wish malice on anyone? Because physiologically speaking, what's happening is I'm giving myself dose after dose of adrenaline, because this is all fear-based thinking. And anytime there's a fear, adrenaline follows. That's the way we're wired. That is how our bodies were designed. So, and with the elevated levels of adrenaline, cortisol gets elevated. So if you have any injuries, old injuries in your body, old scar tissue or anything like that, guess what? Here comes the cortisol and inflammation. So who's really benefiting from being in that place? Certainly not you. Certainly not those closest to you. Your children, your family, your friends around you. No one benefits from that. And if you're not a very active person who gets out there and runs daily or hits the gym daily, or at least every other day, that adrenaline, because there's no reuptake for adrenaline. I've mentioned this before in other videos. There's no reuptake for adrenaline. So essentially what happens is, this adrenaline that was meant to be burned off at the muscular level immediately after delivered starts to become a neurotoxin. It causes anxiety, it causes depression, and it leads to sleeplessness. How are you going to rest peacefully for a night's sleep when your heart is being fed adrenaline to pump harder? Your organs are all wired for, we better run, we have to get ready, the lion's about to, charge the village, or, we're in this fight or flight moment, and yet there's no external stimuli to create the necessary reaction of fight or flight. And so there we are. And as the adrenaline stays in the bloodstream, the body is very slow to metabolize it naturally. It just doesn't happen before you have unconsciously acted out of the anxiety and the depression and the fear and given yourself another dose and another dose and another dose. And so what happens, it starts to build up in the bloodstream. And when that happens, when that takes place, it becomes a neurotoxin. It becomes toxic to everything in your body. It changes the actual pH of your blood, how the electrochemical synapses is taking place in your body and your brain. It will slow down, if not completely stall, your digestive system, because that's one of the triggers that happens. When you hit that fight or flight, you need to run for your life. Well, the body stops sending information to the digestive system to stop it, so that that energy can be converted into fuel for the muscles. So you'll have constipation issues, which leads to other problems. I mean, it's a domino effect. It really is a big domino effect, and the way out is to go in. So when those who have hurt us are summoned up in the mind, I don't care how bad they've hurt us. And I know this is a tough pill to swallow. And I pray for everyone who's in this position where they're listening to me right now saying, "What? I can't forgive that SOB," or "Are you crazy? They don't deserve forgiveness." And I have been there. I totally understand it. This isn't about them, though. This is about you. You're the one who deserves the healing. You're the one who deserves the freedom from the sins that have been waged against you, the injuries that have been caused to you. You deserve this. And the only one who's going to give it to you, it's not the one who perpetrated this shit. It's you. You're the one who's going to give this to you. You're the one who has to put your foot on this pathway and commit to it and discipline yourself. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor who is thriving. And the reason why is because I have this inner battle constantly of which way am I going to go? I can go positive or negative, positive or negative. Remember what my sensei, his name is Bud Maldstrom. Bud said, every encounter in your life has the potential to be positive or negative. It is up to you to decide. There's a lot of truth in that. I mean, there's total truth in that. It's up to me to decide. And it took me many years to take a backward glance at my life and look at all the situations and scenarios where others have hurt me. And you know what? To be very honest, I'm not perfect either. I've hurt lots of people. I've broken hearts too. So I understand the karmic recompense had to be paid. And so I've felt injury and hurt and pain as well. What I have done to others has been done unto me. And that's the spiritual law of reciprocity, of karma. I know a lot of Christians have a real hard time with the word karma. So let me put it this way. In the East, they call it karma. In the West, we call it consequences. Okay? So don't get hung up on words and deprive yourself of a powerful message, because you will find the very same things I'm telling to you right now in the Bible. This is a spiritual law, but incidentally, there are deeper physiological consequences when we don't apply the spiritual law of love, compassion, forgiveness, and to show grace. We are all these beings inhabiting our bodies. These bodies may as well be avatars, right? And at the end of this life, when we return to Source, our Creator God, This body will go back to the earth from whence it came and return to this geologic cycle. And one day, maybe part of me will become a brick. My ancestors might turn me into a brick. Or I'll be in an aquifer and the calcium in my bones become fossilized, and then it goes into some other animal. It's all recycled. The only thing that's not is the soul. So the moral of the story, and what I hope you can gain from this, is self-care begins with our thoughts, right? Self-care means I do not allow myself to think any old way because I'm in my feelings. I've done that. It got me absolutely nowhere good. In fact, it hurt me. It made it worse. It made the situation worse. Then I began to act erratically because of all that adrenaline. I got arrested by doing something so dumb. I look back and I think, oh my gosh, but I understand. I forgive myself. I understand. In that state of elevated adrenaline levels, left unchecked, here I am, without a compass or a guide in that place. And I was struggling, and it was a cry for help, and I couldn't see it, nor anyone else. They didn't know. And so once I began to learn, okay, mind my thoughts, mind them like a flock of chickens. And if you've ever raised chickens, chickens are always scattering hither and yon. They're everywhere. So it takes a little bit of time to train the self to mind those thoughts. And then when a negative thought comes in, I have one of two options. I can just say, well, thank you, and I release you. Or I can take that thought that's associated to an individual and offer them up to their creator with love, forgiveness. I offer this broken human being up to you, Lord. I tried to love them and help them and tried to fix them, which isn't always good. We can only fix ourselves, right? But I offer them up to you because I know you love them too. And when we can get to that place, and it comes in waves, little by little, but when we can learn to love absolutely, not partial. There's no partial in God's world. Source doesn't do anything half-assed. It is all or nothing, right? And so in the case with, have I loved them absolutely? I asked myself, and the answer was no. And I thought, man, I need to work on that then. Have I forgiven them? I thought I forgave them completely. And in an honest reflection with myself, the question was, have I forgiven them absolutely? And I thought, oh my gosh, no, I haven't. And so I took these things into prayer. I revisited. A lot of tears. Sometimes these spiritual awakenings that we get are painful, but it's reality that we need to be in. We don't need to be in delusional thinking or denial or any of those places. They do not serve us. We need to be steeped in the truth and reality at this time in our lives. And so I hope that you can take from the adversity that has come into your life and understand adversity is the path to greater enlightenment. It is the path to what is real and what is not real. It is the path to freedom. And you will grow. You will heal from these situations. You will grow from these situations. If you pray about them, ask for guidance. You cannot ask and not receive. You cannot ask a question and not get an answer. That is the way it works in this universe. And so be sure to ask the right one, the source, creator, God, and revisit the teachings of the Christ. He's giving us the formula right there. It's like a mathematical formula to healing and breaking free from this dark world. that many lose their way out here, and we need more who are stepping into the light, surrendering everything you think you know about yourself, who you are, your identity, all that stuff. Those are all constructs that have been created by a sick society, right? Now it's time to see, okay, reach to the divine, look to the divine, to the creator, and say, who am I? Who am I? Who am I that you created to be? And I want to share something else, and then I'm going to wrap it up. I used to struggle. I resented God for a long time. I was angry. I've shouted at God. I've cursed at God. I've rent my fist to heaven because I could not understand this profound thing that's so simple. And it came to me one day. All this time I shout and pray, God, where are you? Where are you? And it came back to me one day. The question I need to be asking is, where am I? Not where's God in relation to me, but where am I in relation to God? I hope that helps you. I hope all this helps you. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments, and I will try to respond to them as best I can. Until next time, bless you all. Hang in there. One foot in front of the other. Today is the only day we have, and right now is the best moment of our lives if we can realize it. Take care. God bless.